Ethereum prices are currently going through the roof. Now the question stands, is there something that can break Ethereum's current stride, or will the rise just continue? More on that in this video. Hello and welcome to another video here at Bloomberg Capital. My name is Henrik, and today we're talking about Ethereum because we're seeing an enormous surge of interest, and most of it is actually coming from the US, because there several firms are looking to build up their Ethereum portfolio. Leading in that obviously is Sharplink Gaming, which plans to expand its former holding from $1 billion all the way up to $6 billion, which with the current rise in prices definitely helping out there. But beyond that, there are many other catalysts for this rise. On one hand, there's a broader trend driving up all cryptocurrencies and even precious metals like gold, because we are most likely facing a major wave of dollar inflation, which many investors want to escape by putting their money into cryptocurrencies or precious metals. But there's also another highly influential political development out of the US, which is the Genius Act. We already made a video about that a few days ago, so if you want more information on that, go check it out. But essentially, it regulates stablecoins. This will most likely lead to the creation of many new stablecoins, which will bring massive liquidity into the crypto market and triggering an incredible upswing across all cryptocurrencies. But then you might ask, why is Ethereum itself surging so dramatically, especially when compared to Bitcoin, which over the past few weeks has been mostly going sideways? Well, actually, a large share of all stablecoins run on the Ethereum blockchain. So the Genius Act places a lot of hope on its shoulders. But moreover, this is really just a continuation of a trend we've already seen multiple times before, the transition into the so-called alt season. Because up until now, Bitcoin has strongly outperformed Ethereum. But as in past crypto cycles, the focus eventually swings to Ethereum and the other altcoins. And the Genius Act has been the perfect catalyst to set that shift in motion. But let's take a quick look at the chart. So firstly here we see the price development over the past couple of years. And here we see a pretty clear trend in that after the high of 2021 all the way over here, we saw several attempts to break the $4,000 mark, being here, here, and maybe now here. And every time the $4,000 mark has been reached, we saw a pretty big sell-off following suit. Will this time be different, or will we see the same thing? So let's look at the shorter time frame on the most recent price development. Here we see that the trend started out with a good rise, especially here in this sector, but then transitioned into a very big sideways phase. But then, ever since a month ago, we see price go into overdrive. And if we look into it, then we see that in just a bit below a month, we saw a rise of over 80% here to the top. And even after this little sell-off here, we are still at an increase of over 70% in just under a month. So pretty impressive. But now the question is, where do we go from here? It seems like that currently we could see a little bit of a correction or a sideways phase coming up, but this should not be too long. So you've already seen here before that we saw some very small sideways phases here in this trend that made way for further rising prices. So what we can expect here is that price might come down a little bit, maybe into the $3,500 mark, but really shouldn't go much lower than that. And then we should see another rise pretty quickly, breaking the $4,000 mark. We might even go to prices like $4,100 or $4,200. But then, as in the previous cases, we could also see some more resistance come into the market, which should lead to another sideways phase here, bring price maybe down a little bit again, with a downward trend that will probably end on a similar price as the current sell-off that we are seeing right now. Then most likely what we are thinking is that this trend should actually continue in the long term, bringing prices higher and higher, so that we should actually break the $4,000 mark and stay above it. And we should, over the coming months, actually see a continuation of this upwards trend that might even break the previous all-time high back from 2021 of $4,800. So you see, we do believe that we should see a continued rise in Ethereum here. But we might see a bit of a sideways phase here coming up. But there's actually an even more bullish scenario here, in that we actually, when reaching the top of this price channel here, break out of it, then come down a bit, maybe build a low here on top of it, and then push higher, which would be an extremely bullish case here that should see Ethereum prices explode upwards. So if you want to get in, then you have a couple of options. So either you can wait for a low to form in the current downtrend here, then get in, or you could wait for a later low to come. So either here or in the bullish scenario here at the top of the price channel, which then should lead to very fast rising prices right after your entry. But you have to be careful not to miss out on too much price action here. So the sooner entry will probably be a bit more safe as you're just in the price action, waiting for prices to rise. But you also have to be very careful that if you, for example, get in here very soon, that should this first scenario play out, that you don't get cold feet and then exit here exactly at the low point. So if you also want to stay up to date and get more information on Ethereum, then you can actually check out our Discord. There we post daily updates on Ethereum, but also on other cryptocurrencies, stocks, and precious metals. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the description below and see a link for it there. But beyond that, I hope this video was helpful. And with that, I wish you a good week. And until next time, here at Bloomberg Capital.